Fong, and I'm the founder of Norman's Orchid, and I have been doing orchids since 1986 when I graduated from Cal Poly Pomona. My background is chemistry. Then, because the love of orchid, then I studied horticulture degree in Cal Poly Pomona. And one of the most common questions people ask me is how to feed an orchid, what kind of orchid fertilizer to use, and do I need to buy different type of orchid for different orchid, and so on. And to be honest, we have over 100,000 cattleya. When I was at school in the 1980 for the Cal Poly Pomona, the Raymond Burr Orchid Collection, and it was the same frustration that I have. In the 70s, we have what we call the UCLA mix, and that was the 30-10-10, 30% nitrogen, 10% phosphate, and potassium. And then you had to use 3 times of 30-10-10. And then the force feeding, you use this what they call the 6-30-30, so lower nitrogen. But it's really frustrating because even for me, back in the 80s, I have over 100,000 cattleya to taking care of, and we have about 6 greenhouses. Okay, it's very frustrating because then I do more research, and I find out that formulation was actually developed by UCLA, and UCLA did have a horticulture department, and the text plan they used was Cymbidium and cattleya, and the orchid media that was using was redwood fir bark. So fast forward to 1980, we're not using the same potting media as redwood fir bark because it's not available anymore. Starting in the 80s, it's all about Douglas fir bark. We have plenty of those in West Coast, in Oregon, California. So that formulation is actually too rich for the Douglas fir bark. Let alone, people start not just growing Cymbidium or cattleya anymore. That is starting the importation of Asia Paphiopedilum, lady separate orchid. We also have the beginning of the Phalaenopsis coming from Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia. We also have more bandaceous coming in. So people are not growing just those 2 type of orchid anymore. So I saw a need to have more uniform, sort of like more all-purpose fertilizer, and that's why I come up with this formulation called. I'm actually not in the fertilizer to sell. I'm not in the business to sell fertilizer. When I have a business and we start getting a lot of award by the American Orchid Society, and my customers start asking me, what do I use? And I keep saying I have my own formulation, so they actually want me to sell the formulation to them. So this is what we have, is what I call Norman's Optimum Orchid Nutrient. And the nice thing about this is I did not just come up with a formulation that some of the most of fertilizer. In fact, most of so-called fertilizer being formulation on the market, even today or back in the 80s, is by the chemists. It's my own profession, chemistry major. But then not necessarily orchid grower. The chemists come out with this formulation, supposed to be good for house plant, but in specific for orchid, it's a different story. I want to show you, because my background in plant tissue culture, I want to show you the ingredient that I use. Okay, it's very, very refined. It's almost like powdery sugar. Okay, and back in the tissue culture laboratory, we used the reagent grade for our basic research, and reagent grade is almost like so pure. They don't have a lot of heavy metal impurity inside. So when I using this formulation, back in the 80s, I was able to do it in the tissue culture laboratory for tested for in vitro for 5 major. Well, I was germinating orchid seed for cattleya, Oncidium, Dendrobium, Phalaenopsis, and lady separate orchid. So I use that what we call in vitro And that's the best way to control, because in the laboratory, I can control the lighting for 12 hour or 16 hour day, and also the constant night temperature or day temperature. Then with the formulation, then I also double check in vivo, which is in the greenhouse. So we spread it, and I have perfect experiment. You know, I have 100,000 calories. At that time, I also have about 5,000 fertilizers at Cal Poly Pomona for my enterprise project. And people with donation to the school have the Paphiopedium, we have Dendrobium, the fertilizer type, and also the Nobile type. And it's just perfect match for me to do a test on them. So this is why this is good, because I have my nursery right now have over 5 acres of land, and I grow several million plants, and I have orchid now from A to Z. Not only we not just grow orchid we don't grow in the Douglas fir bark, but we also grow it in moss, just like spider moss, which is very popular now. Some people grow it in lava rock, some people grow it in charcoal. So this is a formulation. You can use it. I use it tap water. Just use it city tap water. It's very great, have micronutrient. This has now since been 3 upgraded already. So it's great for our water, and also enhance all the micronutrient. It has the magnesium in there, it has copper, it has zinc. And the best part, I have also the vitamin B1 in there. So you don't have to buy vitamin B1 to get this with. Make it simple. I have so many nursery. I have so many commercial growers that use the formulation with me. So this is actually the fertilizer that give you the professional result, and actually more economical, because this is almost the purest reagent grade I can use for agriculture. The next grade up is for pharmaceutical, and that's why this is so refined. And you can use it on any ornamental plant like azalea, roses, and they are just almost like a gourmet food for them. And we so purified. You can actually do it as a foliage feeding. You can, okay. And the easiest way is, as the label says, we only use a teaspoon per gallon of water. Some of the fertilizer might give you a big jar, but they only use maybe 3 tablespoons. So they're very, very coarse, very inorganic. So all you have to do is just 1 small teaspoon and put it in 1 gallon of water. You can just 1 gallon jar. And since it's inorganic, once you dilute it, whatever you did not use, you can put it away and store it. In the winter time, if you live in Pacific Northeast, the moss might not dry out, but you still need to feed them. So I usually would just put a diluted formulation, and it just mix them, because the formulation is so refined that it will pick it up through the foliage, and yet will not burn the plant. So anytime you have orchid that have give you a tip burn on the cattleya, on fertilizers, that usually is the ingredient of the fertilizer. It's just too coarse, and orchid cannot talk to us, but they will show it to you. They're not happy. Okay, so this is it. Just use this formulation. We use it twice a week, twice a month, every other week. We always, once a week, you check the water. You know, if it's wet like this, skip it. But you always want to check the water once a week. Mark it on your calendar, maybe every other Saturday. 1 week, check the water. Or if it's dry, feed them water. The next week is your feeding week. Whether you pour it through the potting media until they drain from the bottom, or if it's really cold in the wintertime, you can just force feed it. So do it consistently, whether it's in flower, especially it's in flower, because orchids last a long time. There's a myth that orchid does not need feeding when they're not in flower. It's totally wrong, because we eat 3 meals a day. So feeding them every other week is a bare minimum, because we are what we eat. So what we give into them is the plant is going to reward you with bigger flower, longer lasting, healthier plant.
So if I have to water my orchid once a week because it's summertime, do I fertilize it once a week?
Yes. Summertime you still use it every other week. The question is, in summertime, especially summertime, this is the time you do not want to skip feeding them, because this is the time they go the vegetation stages that to build up for the flowering in winter, for the flowering stage. So right now it's a summertime. You have long day, short night. Plant want to go vegetation. This is the time to give them fertilizer. In the winter time, with a short day, long night, you still want to feed them, because that's when the plants start to generate for the flowering also. So pretty much is in the winter time, it's really cold, depending on your area. If it's really cold, the pollen media might not dry out, but as long as there is a sun coming out, they can do photosynthesis. They can really benefit the feeding. So the pollen media may be wet, but you can afford your feeding. But not every fertilizer can do foliar feeding, but I can confident my fertilizer can do that. So you can actually have the professional formulation and right at your home. So you don't have to buy 2-3 different kind of fertilizer. Or this is all in one, A to Z. Okay.
So they don't need to buy a blooming fertilizer on top of this, just this fertilizer.
My philosophy is always make it simple, because why make it so difficult? Because sometimes in the old formulation, the 30-10-10, 3 times, and the 4th time, the 6-30-30, a lot of time, and believe it or not, those formulations still selling us today. The reason they sell it because they can sell you 2 fertilizer instead of 1 fertilizer. But a lot of times, sometimes they even forgot to sell you the 3rd one, the 6-30-30. So they've been feeding them 30-10-10. 30 is for nitrogen. So you've been feeding them nitrogen. You're telling the plant to grow leaf. The leaf can be like cabbage leaf, but never flower. They are what they eat. So pick the best fertilizer that you can have. But I highly recommend my own fertilizer. I've been doing this since 1986, and I have quality award from American Orchid Society for almost 500 awards. Not just for quality award, we have culture award, we have the judges combination. So if you ask me what's my secret on growing orchid, this is one of my top secrets.
And for all 20 greenhouses you have, this is the only fertilizer you use.
Yes.
You're not using any other fertilizer.
No. So you have to make it simple.
All 20 greenhouses only get the same fertilizer, correct?
Same fertilizer, and also this one have urea nitrogen in there. Urea nitrogen is very inexpensive coarse media nitrogen that I use it for long fertilizer. But urea, orchid cannot use urea because they need a fungi in the soil to break it down from urea nitrogen to other different form of nitrogen. So a lot of fertilizer, very cheap fertilizer, they might have urea in there. Guess what? Your orchid never use it. So you waste it. Not only you waste it, but you also taking the chance of burning your orchid. So when I burn, that burning the root tip, that you might not be able to see it, but it's burning the root tips or the leaves. So be careful on the quality of the fertilizers. So you always want to open up the fertilizer jar and look at the texture of the fertilizer. The coarser the meat, the fertilizer, the big crystal, the more raw material, the more impurity in there, more heavy metal. So this is it, and this actually dissolves 100% in water, and this is great. That's why I'm confident you can actually spray as a foliar feeding, and the plant can absorb it through their skin, and will not burn the plant or give it any phytotoxicity to the orchid. And I thank you for this. And so this is what I use for my fertilizer. So it's been tested in vitro, the test tube, and also in the greenhouse. And this is my 3rd generation. So I got everything in there. Got a vitamin B1 in there, all the optimal micronutrient and macronutrient. So just one bottle, and you can forget about it.
And
Thank
they
you.
can order orchids.com.
Yeah, and you can order from Orchids.com when you order the fertilizer. All right. Thank you.